Yay you! Now, when you've addressed removing the sword of trauma hurts and dealing with healing the wound, then you have the sword, okay? Now, I wouldn't go picking it up and trying to work on all these steps of using it until you really have healed the wound, because just like surgery, you don't want to be running around before your wounds are healed, you know? Wait till you get your stitches out, you know? And then you work on using it. And the key here is, hello, the sword is separate from you. I know I've said this a million times, but I need to remind you, all that stuff you went through, separate than you, does not define who you are. You do not need to accept that. That is a bunch of malarkey. Just, whoop, this is something outside of yourself that now you can use to do really good things in your life. Now, always, we do not use the sword with vengeance. We always use it with love instead of vengeance. Okay, agreed. That's a huge factor and a rule. Now, the key to using your sword, there are many keys, and this is why there's a whole step 4 focused on this. But I want you to think about, what do you want to do with it? Now, a great clue is back in the previous step, we had an exercise where you wrote down all the things you would have done if this had never happened. Now's the time to go revisit that list, okay? Go revisit that. And be like, all the things what would you have done, or who you would have been, etc., if you had never been wounded by this, okay? Now that we've addressed the healing, let's go back and look at that list. What would you have done? Are there some things on the list that you still want to do, that you can do, that your sword can now help you do? Like, for example, I mentioned the 80-year-old woman that came to an event of mine, and it was so amazing. And she screamed and like released her rage. And then at the end of it, she'd never told her story before in her whole life. And then at the end of it, she decided to enroll in dance classes. Amazing. Now that is a perfect example of something that's been stunting you, the sword, how it's been a barrier and a blockade in your life. You remove it and then you use it. Now this becomes, obviously you're not walking around with a literal sword, unless you bought these are fun. It becomes a metaphor. And what are you using it as? What do you want to use it for? Like, is it the dance class? Does this need to become your pen and you need to write a book about your whole experiences? Do you need to write some songs about it? You know what I'm saying? Just think about it. What would you have done if you weren't wounded? Go back to that exercise and look at that list. And now let's address, hey, maybe we can revisit some of those things. It's never too late, ever. I don't want to hear it. La, la, la. Never too late, never too late. Think about it.